City of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and I'm starting with Vanguard this morning on the paper review. Vanguard's major headline says Electoral Act, Rowdy section as a Senate OK's conditional e-transmission of results. Where electronic upload phase, result sheets to be used for collation, results declaration. 12-member conference committee to harmonize bill with reps, submit report February 17. Abaribe moves, withdraws a motion for division and votes. Amechi leads son to occupy National Assembly protest ground. Electoral Act alterations threaten Nigeria's democracy, SCF warns. Public pressure for Senate reversal on electronic transmission of results. That's coming from ADC. You can see that story on page 5. And on page 9, Tinubu and I are parallel lines that will never meet. That's coming from RFI. Atiku, Makinde meets IBB in Mina. On page 9, Nigeria drops 2 places, ranks 142nd out of 182 countries in TI Corruption Index. CDS seeks urgent police, civil defense overhaul as military warns of capacity limits. Nigeria's GDP per capita once surpassed China, Malaysia when we ignored IMF. That's coming from Olawepo Ashim. Quitting Chippa United was a tough decision. That's coming from Wabali. You can see that on page 45. Top banner on page 19. Tax revenue jumps 30% to 28.3 trillion naira in 2025. Tinubu has threatened Nigeria's federalism, says Bakudu. Federal government also deals sparks as outrage as only Unijos confirms payment. Lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, Rivers crisis, Wike commits to peace, louds Tinubu's intervention. Fubara promises to fulfill Wike's wish. That's all on Vanguard newspaper. Away from there, we'll move to The Nation. The Nation's major headline says result transmission. Senate House disagree on real time. Harmonization of versions begins. Rev Chamber okays electronic upload to IREV. And from Senate version, we have the presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the IREV. The White House version says the Commission shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the IREV in real time. And Electoral Act 2022 version says the presiding officer shall transfer the results in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. All this can be seen on The Nation, and it continues on page 2. Let's use policies to improve lives, says the President. Rivers crisis, Wike hopeful Fubara will abide by agreement. You can see that on page 2. And lastly, on The Nation newspaper, at the top right corner, we have Nikon. Chairman quits amid the graft allegation. Operators fear disruption. You can see that on page 4. Now, The Guardian. The Guardian's story says INEC on the spotlight as Senate shifts ground on electronic transmission. Russia denies report of Nigerian mercenaries killed in Ukraine war. Lagos state government seeks food, water, vendors, others support in war against cholera. Lagos, 12 other states to experience longer rainfall in 2026, says NIMET. You can see that on newspaper 5. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, CISLAC urges action as Nigeria dips in global corruption rating. You can see that on page 3. Now let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. Here we have Electoral Act amendment. Opposition protest as the senators back manual result transmission. Upper Chamber appoints 12-member panel to harmonize bill with reps. Atiku, Amechi, RFI child lawmakers. Senate okays electronic manual result transmission. You can see that on page 2. Security Guard Act to death at Ogun Church altar. Pages 4 and 5 as that story. Pressure mounted by Bayelsa governor over choice of deputy. And the top banner, we have Wike Fubara cultures after Tinubu's move. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, United States deploys 200 troops to Nigeria. You can see that story on page 2. And that's all on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories with our guests. Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is Today the News from Vanguard Life. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and joining me to analyze some of the stories on the front pages this morning is Mr. Gbenro Olajuigbe, the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Good morning, Mr. Gbenro.
Good morning.
Yes, and in a boisterous session in Abuja, the Senate passed amendment to the Electoral Act that includes provisions for conditional electronic transmission of election results. That's a long-awaited demand of civil society groups and all voters, but one that also sparked intense debate among the legislators. What do you think about this final agreement by the Senate?
Well, I don't know whether it's an agreement, but if it's an agreement, it's a very more dangerous agreement and a very present landmine against the people of Nigeria. Any law that have provided or infused with a provisor is like a smoking gun in the hand of a corrupt judge. When such is an electoral law, of course, it becomes an infernal machine against the people's mandate in the hands of a corrupt judge. So it's just like creating a loophole, escape hole. It's more dangerous than the law that we had before. If you don't want it, electronic transfer of result or transmission of result, don't want it. Let us know where we stay. But when you leave a provisor that say that where there is no network, of course, the law is abridged, is abrogated already by that proviso. The extant made law has been terminated by such proviso because such could be claimed, even in Lagos, even in Victoria Land, that there was no network at that particular material time when election takes place. So it's nothing. They have made. There is just a step backward to what the people want. Why people? The reason is that you go to the main reason why people want electronic transmission of results. The reason is that you don't have excuse when you get to electoral tribunal or election tribunal. No reason will be given because all results have been transmitted electronically or not transmitted electronically will reflect on the error. But because this is needed in order to have nearly faultless evidence when you want to advance your case in terms of election dispute. So the provisor has rendered the main clause of the law impotent to the extent it can become a refuge under which those who want to rig election, those who don't want electronic transmission of results, to hide. So it's a refuge for them. And there is nothing done when there is a provision that can easily terminate the main law or the main clause of a particular law that is made. So that proviso has rendered impotent, redundant, the main clause of that law, and it's unacceptable. It's not what people wanted. That's not what took people to the street or to the National Assembly. And the test of credible, free, fair elections. So, plus, sabotage its own essence. So the people should not relent. I have told us that when you have a corrupt system will always raise rulers and that will develop a system that will continue And that's where Nigeria has found itself. I really don't know where they are getting their facts. Electronic transfer or transmission of resource is not peculiar to Nigeria. India has been using it. Numbers of registered voters in India is over 900 million. That is 10 times the number of registered voters in Nigeria. And if you've been to India before, you will find that India is largely rural and excessively populated, even those rural areas. They have challenges in the periphery of India, and that has not stopped them from using that electronic transmission of result and declaration of result. So I don't know why everything in Nigeria has to be war before it's achieved. And the senators should equally be ashamed if they govern a state that they claim that over 300 local governments cannot be reached by communication. So whose fault is that? That should show the level of decadence in the government they run. That should tell you how impoverished Nigerians have become under series of administration that cannot provide electricity, that cannot provide anything semblance of infrastructure that can support communication in such an environment. How will such an environment will not be invaded by criminals? How will I progress and move in that environment? So allowing them to go away with this manipulation that they brought out in form of law will be to support, to allow them to benefit from their own incompetence, their own inefficiency, the rural areas of Nigeria. So it's like their claim, it's like the man that was arrested and being tried for killing his parents. And the same man got to court. He said when they wanted to deliver judgment, he said they should have mercy on him because he's an orphan. Well, he made himself orphan by killing his own father and mother. So they kill the whole essence of development and they still want to benefit from the decadence they have created. Nigerian people should not allow them to benefit with that and go on with this obnoxious, desperately made law that is infused with loopholes that will sabotage the main clause of that same law. Well, so nothing has been, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Mr. Guerrero, the Senate argued that this proposed e-transmission of results could be prone to manipulations.
Also, the one is not prone to manipulation. The one they are running, we have been running all along. It's not prone to manipulation. Is that what they are saying? So they still want to, why don't they return Nigeria to an era of ballot box so that people will know that what they are dealing with is snatching of ballot boxes? That is badadash. That is anti-progressivism. That is retrogression. That is telling the world that we are not a part of a global technology revolution. So people should not be allowed to benefit from their own incompetence. They should not allow to benefit from their own deliberate will to sabotage a system and continue to sabotage our electoral system so that it will make do for announcement of result. Can you believe that somebody is a Senate president today? He didn't go through the primary. He didn't win primary. The person who won the primary of APC in Akwa Ibom, which Akpabio is benefiting from, is a retired police commissioner, a purple job. who went to court, but you know what our court has become? He lost at the court, and Akpabio was made a senator because of a system like this that allow much discretion to judges. And any discretion you give to a corrupt judge is a gold mine in Nigeria, in the enterprise, where they have created their own criminal police.
Well, like you said, and Chris has also warned that that political actors, they might also find ways to manipulate this process. Now, this whole responsibility now is on INEC. So, how do you think INEC and other stakeholders are prepared to implement this system effectively come these next election?
I don't know how we make law in Nigeria. It is not within the purview of the senators to say what is implementable or not. Those who have that responsibility is INEC. One, the principal is the principal responsibility of INEC. Secondly, the Nigeria Communication Commission, which has said repeatedly there is nothing wrong with the use of electronic transmission of result. As long as you have your telephone anywhere in Nigeria, even in Abuja central area, you still have network challenges at times. So the world cannot wait for you. In the villages, you can call people. They are just lying to themselves and lying to those who are the gullible ones, who will go for nothing in order to keep Nigeria underdeveloped. So that's why I'm saying that if at all, if their claim is true, that Nigeria's 300 local governments are not connected, whether to national grid or to communication infrastructure, whose fault is that? Why are they in government? What progress have they made? It's unacceptable to allow people to benefit from their own efficiency. That's what I'm saying. So their failure cannot be a refuge for the saboteurs of electronic transmission of result system.
Okay, so given the past experiences with what Nigerians have seen in terms of delayed results and allegations of manipulation in the past, realistically, should Nigerians expect from these reforms from the next general elections? Seeing that this is what the Senate has done and they've approved instead of what the Nigerians are requesting for.
This is not reform. This is deform. This is reform anticipates progress, not retrogression. It's not reform. I don't know where we steal that language and calling this despicable heart of pure people to keep Nigeria underdeveloped a reform. This is the same thing that we canvass all the days. Don't use technology. You can fight the Boko Haram. You can fight all those things. Look at the situation we have found ourselves today. We are left behind by the rest of the world. Today, American is leading the war that we should lead. And the First Lady and others are clapping for them because they are leading, because of their own failure, because they could not deploy technology to assist the soldiers that have been doing the job, or the militaries generally that have been doing the job. And we are afraid of everything. Nigerians there's intrusion of violence in Nigeria today, no thanks to the terrorists, because we are afraid of everything. Corruption has taken Nigeria by the jugular. Technology is an enemy of Nigerian government, and we are afraid of it. Then how do we contemplate progress? How do we make progress in such an atmosphere of extreme leadership ignorance? How do we make progress in the environment where leaders are afraid of light? How do we make progress in environments where people are easily deceived and they become complacent and inevitably become victims of what they submit to in the hands of their incompetent and clueless government. Those are the issues. Those are the questions. Nigeria should join the rest of the world. You don't need to have everything 100% before you move forward in life.
All right, let's move away from that and quickly talk about this one. Nigeria recently drops 2 places and now ranks 142 out of 182 countries in TI Corruption Index. What's your take on this?
Well, if you open the paper every day, what do you see? Somebody is being tried for 1.3 trillion, 1.4 billion, and everything. The only areas where Nigeria is making unstoppable progress is the art of looting, art of corruption, everything 24/7. It's just like the primary purpose of government is to go and loot. That is what is going on. Look at what Emefiele did under Buhari. Look at the trial of Malami. What he allegedly, of course, he has temporarily made to forfeit most of the billions and loss of property and a lot of property that he acquired under brief tenure. And look at other people, even in present government. What do you think is going on? What do you think at the threshold of this government, a minister was suspended for billions of naira recklessly transferred to personal accounts and businesses, and nothing happened. She wasn't put on trial. And what do you call that? What do you call that when a man is being tried by anti-corruption agency, EFCC, for 40 billion looting of a state, and that man is made a minister of state for defense? So how do you want the rating to go up? So in Nigeria, it's a cathedral of corruption, and it's getting worse. Let nobody deceive you. That's why I want Nigeria. If you listen to the Minister of Health about 3 days ago, reported by paper, particularly Daily Trust, a budget of 268 billion was made for Ministry of Health. They have not assessed more than 30 million. They did not assess more than 30 million in 2025. What do you want? What evidence do you want again that there's corruption going on? What do you want when the government is running 3 budgets, pari passu, 2024 budget, 2025 budget, and supplementary budget at the same time? How far? What more evidence do you need to say that there is corruption in such community or country?
Mr. Aguero, TI's index ranks countries based on perceived public sector corruption, with a lower ranking often linked to weaker institution and reduced investors' confidence. Now, in all of this, Nigeria has we have high-profile anti-graft agencies like EFCC and ICPC. Now, my question is, with this ranking, are these institutions working effectively, or are they hindered by political interference?
Let me just give you an example of how corrupt, how decadent Nigeria has been. There is somebody who plays for sale the headquarters of EFCC, and he called it hotel. He put for sale on it. A criminal, 419, put for sale and telling people that the EFCC headquarters is a hotel that he wants to sell. And I saw the response of EFCC. Something like, fear, I not even catch this one. Do you get it now?
Yes, I
that is that is graphic illustration of how corrupt Nigeria has become. Have you not heard that most of the properties that were collected from people by EFCC were looted by staffs of EFCC? Some of them were arrested. That is how corrupt we have become. Or we continue. In summary, let me state what Alhaji Shehu Musa said several years ago. Makama Dida, he was chairman of National Population Census. He said Nigeria, the problem of Nigeria is not that officials are corrupt. That corruption now is official. It's not, I think that is the truth of our state, of what we have become today. So nobody is even shocked that people steal money. Nobody is shocked that people are looting in billions and millions. And they don't go to jail for that. The case can drag for 10 years. Is that a state that is serious? We have a very compromised justice administration system. From the entry point of police of arrest, there is corruption. From the process of trial in court, there is corruption. Even if you are jailed, you can be brought out and pardoned. You don't call to see that as corruption. See that how to fight corruption. And you can even be canonized, even by the same society. So what are we talking about? This is a country that has embraced corruption as a beautiful bride. And there's little this government is doing about that. So I'm not shocked, I'm not surprised. It can only get worse if this trajectory continues.
Can a stronger institution turn this around?
Corrupt people cannot build strong institutions. That is what I'm telling you. The first target is to break down the institution, and the institution can no longer regenerate itself when it's being led by corrupt people. No institution can be stronger than those leading it if the environment, the policy environment, the lawmaking environment is filled by corrupt people. And like in my opening statement, when corruption agents, when they find themselves in power, the first thing they do is to remake the law, is to rebuild the institution, to build agency that will strengthen their capacity to sabotage the system, to corrupt, to receive bribe, and get away with it. And that is what we have done with our institution. I just told you somebody that was arrested at the threshold of this, at the twilight end of Buhari's administration, Matawale, by the former EFCC chairman, Bawa. And then he was being interrogated. Tinubu came into power. Tinubu arrested Bawa and made Matawale, that was supposed to be facing that graft, Minister of Defense, State. So how will such system fight corruption? And it's not like that. Do you know how many years Akpabio has been indicted? When he was governor, when he was a minister of Niger Delta, off the mic episode. Hope you remember. Is he in court today or is he in palace? Those are questions that Nigeria must ask. And such people will make law now to strengthen anti-corruption. Is that what you are saying? And they will build system, and they will allow somebody that is independently minded to head such institution. It's not going to be possible. So this thing is like a vicious cycle. Corrupt people are the one appointing corrupt judges. Corrupt people are the one appointing the leaders of this agency, anti-corruption agency. So how strong is the institution going to look like?
All right.
So the system is wired in a way that is sabotage itself. And in such environment, where the pace is dictated by corrupt people, corruption, such country can never be free of corruption.
All right, let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking is Mr. Mr. says, I am the head of this family, and anything I say is law. So two masters cannot serve in the same boat. Our Mrs. replied, "But now that I've got my master's degree, what are you going to do about it?"
Well, you have two masters now in the boat. So I think I will just offer advice in the spirit of love and progress. There should be cooperation. And I know that those of us who are Christian, the Bible has told us how home should be organized. The husband is regarded as the head of the home, but the wife is not the servant. The wife is just like when you have a government. The executive is the husband, the judiciary is the wife, while the children are the legislators. So we should just learn how to live together, to work together, advance the spirit of familyhood, and live cherishable life that people can emulate. After all, we are in this world for a while, whether married or married. Yes. So let's love lead in all that we do at home and in all other places. And God is love.
Yes, God is love. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero, for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
Yeah, do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website, www.vanguardngr.com. My name is Damlola Okunshakin. Have a lovely Wednesday.